He wasn't supposed to be a hero that day. Tyler Brooks was supposed to show 3 tourists where the salmon were running, maybe land a few halibut, and get them back to the dock by 4 p.m. with a cooler full of fish and a memory they'd tell their friends about. But when the distress call crackled across the VHF radio, "Mayday, Mayday, we're taking on water fast," and the Coast Guard dispatcher said, "Rescue team ETA 20 minutes." Tyler knew 20 minutes was 19 minutes too long, because 11 years ago, Tyler Brooks wasn't a fishing guide. He was Aviation Survival Technician 2nd Class Tyler Brooks, Navy rescue swimmer. The guy they dropped from helicopters into 30-foot seas to pull drowning sailors from sinking ships. And today, 200 yards off the starboard bow, a charter boat was going down. 4 people in the water, waves building to 8 feet. Water temperature 42 degrees. In water that cold, you had maybe 10 minutes before hypothermia shut your body down. Tyler had his wetsuit on in 90 seconds. The morning had started perfect. Flat calm seas, clear skies, and the kind of August sun that made Alaska's Inside Passage look like a postcard. Tyler stood at the helm of the Second Chance, his 32-foot fishing charter, heading out of Seward Harbor with 3 clients from Texas who had never seen a glacier up close. At 39, Tyler had the build of someone who'd spent years in the water. Broad shoulders, lean frame, hands scarred from hooks and ropes. His dark hair was sun-bleached at the tips, and his face carried the permanent squint of someone who lived outdoors. He wore his standard uniform, waterproof jacket over a thermal layer, deck boots, and a faded navy ball cap he'd worn so long the gold anchor was barely visible. His clients, a father, his teenage son, and the father's brother, were geared up with rods and reels, talking excitedly about king salmon and halibut the size of doors. "How long you been doing this?" the father, Mike, asked as Tyler throttled up past the harbor breakwater. 4 years, Tyler said. "Full time, anyway." "What did you do before?" Tyler kept his eyes on the water. "Little bit of everything." It was his standard answer. Most people didn't push. The ones who noticed the Navy tat on his forearm, an eagle, anchor, and trident, usually figured he'd been military and left it at that. What they didn't know was that Tyler had been one of fewer than 350 active Navy rescue swimmers in the entire fleet. That he'd completed one of the toughest training pipelines in the military. That he'd jumped from helicopters into hurricanes, pulled unconscious pilots from burning wreckage, and swam through oil-slicked seas to reach sailors everyone else had given up for dead. He'd done 53 rescues in 11 years, saved 62 lives, and then one day, he couldn't do it anymore. Not because he'd lost the skill, because he'd lost the ability to forget. So he'd left, moved to Alaska, bought a boat, started over. Now he showed people where the fish were, and most days, that was enough. By 11 a.m., they were 15 miles offshore, drifting near a kelp bed where Tyler knew the salmon liked to feed. The Texans were having the time of their lives. 2 kings already in the cooler, rods bent double, laughter echoing across the water. Tyler was rigging another line when the VHF radio on the console crackled to life. "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is the charter vessel Lucky Strike. Approximate position 50 miles south of Seward. Taking on water, engine failure, 4 souls on board." The transmission cut out, then came back, weaker. "Breaking up fast. We're abandoning." Static. Tyler was already moving. He grabbed the radio. "Coast Guard Seward. This is fishing vessel Second Chance. I copy the Mayday from Lucky Strike. I'm approximately 12 miles north of that position. Request permission to assist." A pause. Then the Coast Guard dispatcher's voice, calm and clipped. "Second Chance. Be advised. Rescue helo is inbound from Kodiak. ETA 22 minutes. Conditions are deteriorating. Seas building to 8 feet, wind 15 knots and increasing. Tyler looked at the horizon. Dark clouds rolling in fast from the west. The water was already starting to chop. Copy that, Coast Guard. I'm 5 minutes out. I'll maintain position and render aid until your arrival. Mike, the client, stepped up beside him. What's going on? Boat in distress. I need to check it out. Tyler throttled up, swinging the bow south. Everyone, life jackets on. Now. The 3 men scrambled for vests. Tyler's face was stone. 4 minutes later, he saw it. The lucky strike was a 40-foot sport fisher, listing heavily to port, already half submerged. 2 people were in the water, clinging to a floating cooler. A third was trying to swim toward them, but struggling in the growing swells. Tyler couldn't see the fourth. Tyler grabbed the VHF. Coast Guard, second chance on scene. Vessel is sinking fast. 3 persons visible in the water, 1 unaccounted for. I'm going in. Negative, second chance. Hold position and... Tyler switched off the radio. He turned to Mike. I need you to take the helm. Keep the bow into the waves. Maintain this position. Do not try to get closer. But do not get closer. Tyler's voice was flat, absolute. If I tell you to throw me a line, you throw it. If I tell you to pull, you pull. Understand? Mike nodded, pale. Tyler stripped off his jacket and kicked off his boots. Underneath, he wore a 3mm wetsuit top. He always wore it under his clothes, an old habit from his Navy days. He grabbed a rescue rope from the deck locker, clipped one end to the stern cleat, and coiled the other around his shoulder. Tyler, man, the Coast Guard said... Mike's brother started. I know what they said. Tyler was already moving to the stern. But that water's 42 degrees. They've got 8 minutes, maybe 10, before hypothermia shuts them down. The Coast Guard's 20 minutes out. He looked at Mike. You good? Mike swallowed hard. Yeah. Tyler dove. The cold hit him like a fist. Even with the wetsuit, the Alaskan water was a shock. Sharp, instant, stealing breath. But Tyler had felt worse. He'd trained in water colder than this, and muscle memory didn't forget. He surfaced, oriented himself, and started swimming. The swells were building fast now, 6 feet, maybe 7, rolling in from the west. Tyler timed his strokes between the peaks, using the waves to carry him forward. The closest swimmer was a woman in her 30s, eyes wide with panic, thrashing in the water. I've got you! Tyler shouted over the wind. Stop fighting, just float! She grabbed at him, frantic, nearly pulling him under. Tyler locked his arm across her chest, classic rescue hold, and kicked hard to keep them both afloat. Listen to me, he said, his voice calm but firm. I'm a rescue swimmer. You're going to be fine, but you need to stop moving. Let me do the work. She gasped, nodded, and went limp in his grip. Tyler swam them back toward the second chance, one arm pulling, the other holding her secure. When he got close enough, he shouted, Mike! Line exclamation mark. The rope arced through the air. Tyler caught it one-handed, looped it under the woman's arms and tied it off. Pull her in! Slow and steady. Mike and his brother hauled, while Tyler guided her through the water. Once she was at the stern, they lifted her aboard. Tyler didn't wait. He turned and swam back. The second victim was a man, older, clinging to the cooler with both hands. His lips were already blue. Sir, I'm here to help. I'm going to take you back to the boat. The man's teeth chattered. My son. He's still... I'll get him. But I need to get you safe first. Tyler pried the man's hands from the cooler, turned him around and towed him back. Same routine. Rope. Pull secure 2 down, 2 to go. The third swimmer was younger, maybe 20, fighting to stay above water but clearly exhausted. Tyler reached him just as a wave crashed over his head. The kid came up coughing, eyes rolling back. Tyler grabbed him, slapped his face lightly. "Stay with me!" "Come on, kid, stay with me." The kid's eyes focused. Barely. Tyler locked the hold and swam. His arms were burning now, his core temperature dropping. The wetsuit helped, but it wasn't a dry suit. He could feel the cold creeping in. He got the kid to the boat. Mike pulled him aboard. Tyler treaded water, scanning the surface. "Where's the fourth?" he shouted up to Mike. "I don't know. I haven't seen anyone else." Tyler's stomach dropped. He dove. The visibility underwater was maybe 15 feet. Tyler kicked deep, eyes burning from the salt, searching. There, 20 feet down, a man sinking slowly, unconscious, arms floating. Tyler kicked harder, reached him, grabbed his jacket, and hauled him upward. Breaking the surface, Tyler gasped for air and tilted the man's head back. Not breathing. "Mike! Emergency! Get ready to pull us both!" Tyler looped the rope around the unconscious man's chest, then wrapped his own arm through it. "Pull!" They hauled them both in together. The moment Tyler was close enough, he pushed the man up onto the swim platform and climbed up after him. He rolled the man onto his back, tilted his head, checked his airway, and started CPR. 30 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. Repeat. The Texan stood frozen, watching. Tyler didn't stop. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Come on, come on. Water spilled from the man's mouth. He coughed, gasped, and sucked in air. Tyler rolled him onto his side and let him breathe. Then Tyler collapsed onto the deck, chest heaving, shaking from cold and adrenaline. Mike dropped to his knees beside him. "Jesus Christ, man, you just... Tyler waved him off, too exhausted to talk. In the distance, the sound of rotors. The Coast Guard helo appeared over the ridge, banking toward them. Tyler sat up slowly, looked at the 4 people huddled on his deck, cold, scared, but alive, and allowed himself one long breath. 54 rescues, 66 lives. The Coast Guard medics took over when they arrived, hoisting the survivors into the helicopter one by one. A rescue swimmer in an orange dry suit dropped onto Tyler's deck, checked him over, and grinned. "You Navy?" Tyler nodded. "I can tell." "That was textbook, man. Just keeping the skills fresh." The swimmer clapped him on the shoulder. "You saved 4 lives today. Command's going to want to talk to you." Tyler shook his head. "I'm good." "Just get them warm." The helo lifted off, rotors hammering the air, and disappeared toward Seward. Mike stood at the helm, staring at Tyler like he just watched someone walk on water. "Who the hell are you?" Tyler pulled his jacket back on, zipped it up, and smiled faintly. "Just a fishing guide, man." But Mike wasn't buying it. "Bullshit. That was something else." Tyler started coiling the rescue rope, his hands still shaking slightly from the cold. "Used to do this for a living. Long time ago." "Why'd you stop?" Tyler paused, looking out at the water where the Lucky Strike had been. It was gone now, fully submerged. Just a slick of diesel on the surface. "Because I got tired of the nightmares," he said quietly. "And I figured if I walked away, maybe they'd stop." "Did they?" Tyler tied off the rope and set it back in the locker. "Not really. But at least now, when I close my eyes, I see fish instead of faces." 3 days later, Tyler was back at the dock, prepping the second chance for another charter, when a black SUV pulled up. 2 men in Coast Guard uniforms stepped out. One of them, a senior chief with gray at his temples, walked over. "Tyler Brooks?" "That's me." The chief extended his hand. "Senior Chief Ramirez, Coast Guard Air Station Kodiak. Got a minute?" Tyler shook his hand. Sure. They sat on the dock, legs dangling over the edge, watching the harbor seals surface near the pier. The family you pulled out of the water, Ramirez said. Father, mother, and their 2 kids. All of them made it. Hypothermia, but they're going to be fine. Tyler nodded. Good. The father asked me to give you this. Ramirez handed him an envelope. Inside was a handwritten note and a photo. The photo showed the 4 of them, smiling, wrapped in blankets, giving thumbs up from a hospital room. The note read, You didn't have to come. But you did. You didn't have to go in the water. But you did. You gave us our lives back. We'll never forget. Thank you. Tyler folded it carefully and put it in his pocket. Ramirez watched him. Command reviewed the incident. What you did out there. That was high-level rescue work. We'd like to offer you a position as a civilian contractor. Training, SAR coordination. You've still got the skills. Tyler looked out at the water. I appreciate it, Chief. But I'm good where I am. You sure? You're one of the best I've ever seen. I'm sure. Tyler stood, wiped his hands on his jeans. I did my time. Saved who I could. Now I'm just trying to live quiet. Ramirez stood too. Fair enough. He handed Tyler a card. If you ever change your mind. Tyler took it. Thanks. As the SUV pulled away, Tyler went back to work, coiling lines, checking gear, getting ready for the next trip. But that night, alone on the boat, he opened the envelope again and looked at the photo. 4 faces, 4 lives, and for the first time in years, the nightmares didn't come. Not everyone who saves lives wears a uniform. Not everyone who jumps into freezing water does it for a paycheck. And not everyone who walks away from the fight stops being a warrior. Some just change battlefields. Tyler Brooks didn't need recognition. He didn't need medals or ceremonies. He'd had enough of those. He just needed to know that when the call came, he was still ready, and he always would be. So I'll ask you, have you ever walked past someone and assumed their story? The fishing guide, the mechanic, the person behind the counter. Because sometimes the most extraordinary people are living the quietest lives. Tell us in the comments, have you ever met someone whose past surprised you? Subscribe to the Human Stories, because we believe the best stories are the ones no one sees coming. Thank you for watching. And remember, never judge a life by the uniform it's no longer wearing.